There is a fragile peace in Freiburg after the defeat of Kelby Loring and the flight of Redmond Earhart and Archbishop Rosencreuz. The city recovers from a difficult autumn and prepares for an unseasonably cold winter. Logan Seeger, the son of Iron Prince Eric Seeger, has been freed from captivity. Chosen as the successor of Nicholas Trogg, the Iron Princes must now be swayed to recognize his legitimacy and ensure his succession does not upset the delicate balance of power between them. The Iron Princes have not gathered since the end of the 30 Years' War. With no imperator and no successor, Eisen sits on the perpetual brink of a violent struggle for power. The Iron Princes' agendas are their own. In one of many lesser used warehouses, there's still a great many like properties throughout Freiburg that have been I won't say abandoned, but they were part of Redmond Earhart's real estate empire, and not everything has been sorted out, resold, claimed, bought, etc. Um, and it's a place that Gav knows because he once fought with the leader of the Mad Wolves here. Um,
Bad
the
beef with this guy.
well, so there's been like five incarnations of that particular gang. It's like the least creative gang name. And Gav fought with one of the leaders of it once. Another time he was on good terms with him. Another time he worked for one of them. It's just like it seems like a Freeburg tradition at this point that if like they get disbanded or arrested or whatnot, somebody starts up another chapter of it. This one, however, used to be like a gang hangout, and now he has called an impromptu meeting of the leaders of all the kid gangs to have a talk with them after the Green Dragon incident and the painting. And he spent most of last episode paying bails, getting kids out, you know, in some cases it was just, paying bribes to guards and stuff like that. I It did not take too much to convince them like that they were basically the pawns in a larger game and they were paid for some petty vandalism and that was it. And Gav has gotten past the point with most of the guards where they understand, like, look, I can do this the hard way with you, and I will. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid. Or you can just, look to your common sense. And there was more than once where it was actually like the captain of a guard that he was talking to, and he's like, you need to give us 10 minutes to talk to them. Come in with us and tell them to cooperate. Do you know what I mean? And with Gav kind of like signing off, they're like, okay, I mean, I'll tell what I know, but it wasn't much. Like somebody paid us to paint Green Draken on the side of things, and it was good money.
Yeah. I mean, when Gav's talking to these kids, it's not like it's not an interrogation under any means. It is simple conversations. Like, I know you did this for money. I understand. When I was your age, I would have done the same thing. But I need descriptions. I need to know where you did they supply the paint? Did they tell you which barrels to mark, or did they tell you to mark all of them? Like, did they tell
Um,
you not to mark certain barrels? It was like he's like trying to get as much simple information as he can because he
yeah.
knows kids are kids. They're not going to be paying that much attention.
So Felix is the only one that's like brought something tangible with him, which is
Hmm.
that so because they were painting many things very rapidly, they were all given a um, a stencil. The stencil is metal and it's been engraved. The As far as the paint, um, as far as the what they were told to just mark anything that looked like it could contain something. Boxes, barrels. Some of them got creative, some of them just got bored.
Yeah,
You know, one of them, one of them gets like snickers from all the other kids when he talks about he snuck into the guardhouse and he painted it on all of their like armory stuff. So like all their weapons and breastplates and everything had green dragons marked on it when they woke up.
that
Um,
explains the washing and the swearing.
um, and he's like, I had to get their helmets. They said they had to make sure we got the thing on some empty vessels. The other kid's laughing. But Felix has the stencil. And it's, it is the kind of thing that you would use like on an like uh I want to use the word industrial scale, even though it wouldn't be industry as we think of it. Does that make sense? But if you were somebody who was regularly moving product and shipping things and stuff like that, and you wanted everything to be known as marked by this, this is
Hmm.
the exact kind of thing you use because you can just slap paint on with the stencil and it'll be in the shape you need and you can
I
move
was
on in a
thinking
second.
exactly docks, shipping. This wouldn't be smugglers' work because they wouldn't use something as that so friggin' obvious
Yeah.
unless they're
Um,
looking to get caught.
a lot of it was because a lot of it was picking easy targets. Does that make sense? Things that were out in the open, things that were in carts, which by proxy meant things that were going to be moving often or seen around the city. If they were
Hmm.
already in carts, they were probably loaded to be moved the next day. And, they weren't usually affecting the product itself. So like for the most part, the merchants didn't care. They're like,
Yeah,
whatever, we'll open it and we'll buy new crates, you know,
yeah,
or we'll wash it off if we really feel the need to. But because nobody had any idea that it meant something except the guards.
yeah. That leads Gav to think that there is a leak within the guards. Another one, because they already took care of Redmond Earhart's little buddy in Finerherd.
And Felix, he's like, absolutely, there's leaks in the guards. Half the captains will tell anybody anything you want if you pay them. This is
Who
the only
got
one
paid
making
first?
things kind of hard to do is Hans.
Hansi's a good man. You will not be mean to his guards. Little,
Um,
he's like, you know, little things, throwing rotten apples, tying shoelaces, that is fine. But you will not hurt them. And if they tell you to stop doing something, you will be nice because I don't want to hear it from Hans.
Felix kind of like, hey, the guards were the only ones who just threatened to throw some people in the river, but never did.
And yeah, he I think his next question is out of the kids, like who got paid the earliest? Because to him that makes him think that's who was closest to the actual
Um,
thing.
the ones in Steinholt,
Steinhold. They
and then
got
it
paid
moved
first.
out fairly evenly from there.
Okay.
Um, it- he cannot make an exact determination because where each of the gangs met with somebody was slightly different. They would have taken different amount of travel times and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
sometimes the kids themselves were late, sometimes
But
they were early.
in what was that? Sorry. Um yeah, Gav's like in Gav's head he's thinking who because closest to where their hideout is, he knows which district is probably, well, it makes the most sense. Steinholt's where all the administrative stuff is.
It's also might just be related to that it's like central and every side of it is ringed with boats and
That is
ports.
true.
Um,
He asks Felix how he's doing.
Felix says, there's something else I don't know if you want everyone else to see, but um,
He waits
it,
till the sort of like gets what he can out of the other
it,
kids and then asks them to leave.
yeah, it's more like if they're, he's like, we got some snacks and food,
Yeah.
go get something else. And he takes Gav out to where two of his kids have like what is clearly a stolen cart um, uh,
I did not see that.
that has a barrel on it. Like they throw back a tarp and it's got a barrel with like a green dragon on it. Um, and what the when he opens it, he can immediately smell black powder. This is like a legit barrel, but is one that has been emptied of the black powder. Does that make sense?
Where
What
did you
is
find this?
There's one more thing about it though. There's a bag that sits inside of the barrel. That like when he pulls out, he can feel there's a strangeness to its texture, and it takes a while for him to realize that it's been completely lined with fat and like ground into the fibers. Somebody used lard on the barrel, and it takes Gav a minute, but it would make whatever was inside of the contents effectively waterproof. If you have a well-sealed barrel and a bag that's like basically water sealed, something could be underwater for a very long time without getting soaked.
They're keeping them in the river. The one place we wouldn't look.
Um, Felix kind of he says, I don't think it's that. He kind of like leans forward and he gives a sniff and like invites Gav to do the same. It smells like shit. They're not keeping them in the river, they're keeping them in the sewers, underwater, where the guards are not going to look.
Felix, I want you to be honest. How much work with the Troggots have you had? The rat catchers. Have you actually been doing your job with them?
He says time to time, yeah. He says, I come when they call.
Good. How much have you learned?
He says, I learned to always carry a pistol in the sewers.
Smart.
He says, and I've been down there quite a few times. He says, I've seen the guards doing their work. They're looking for things, but they're looking for hidden walls in the stone and things like that. None of them are looking in the sewage.
Cisterns, yes. Oh, Gav has very
He
dirty
says,
work
I
ahead of
found
him.
this working for the rat catchers. It had come loose. The rope had rotted, and it was against a grate.
Where?
He describes an area in the playground.
This is good work, Felix. I am very proud of you. If you find any more, you tell me immediately.
I don't I don't know if it's a good idea to send the kids under the water.
I am not telling you to do that. I have a lot of work to do.
Um, he kind of nods. He's like, I know this is important to you. What can we do to help?
Keep an eye out of keep an eye out for who comes in and out of the sewers. Not everyone can handle the smell, and not everyone knows the way. So they would know the areas they know and stick to them. People who are trying not to be seen.
Says, I mean, half the smugglers move things through there.
But the smugglers you know.
He just starts rattling. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. The boats we do not see in the water. We are looking for others. They do not act like smugglers. They may pretend to, they may be very good, but you know how smugglers move.
he says, but I mean, if these people have been doing this long enough that this rope rotted through, they know the sewers too.
He's Gav takes a long moment before he says anything. He's like, I want you to be safe, Felix. I want this city to be safe. Keep the kids out of the sewers, especially in the playground.
You
And
know,
if I do not talk to you soon, tell Captain Hans.
he kind of he says, um, this I've heard Margot's name being whispered.
The lady at the puppets.
He nods. Says, is she who the guards are looking for?
Many people wish to ask her questions, Gav included.
Um, he says, there was a thing a while ago. He says, I didn't think much of it because she was turning aside kids, but she did ask for some help, some people that would be willing to do some things for her. Says, I asked what the pay was, and she said it wasn't about that. Says, so I lost interest. Says, um, but I know others who inquired, and she turned them aside, said they were too young.
She's looking for dangerous work. Um, hmm.
It surprised me because I've never thought of her as the type. She
Neither
had
did I.
she had crazy sock puppets and told funny stories.
But many things can push people to do many, take extreme measures. If you can, let it be known that I wish to speak and I'm interested in her say.
Do you want to can try to find her?
If you can. But if you see many people with swords and guns trying to hide them, you tell me first, and you do not pursue them any further. I want to make sure you are safe.
He says, I remember, and kind of, touching his side where he like
Mm-hmm.
took the knife.
He claps Felix on the shoulder. You did good.
Um, he says, uh, I have a question.
Ah,
He says, Hannelore invited me for brisket. I don't know what a brisket is.
Gav grins and he looks at Felix and he's like, you should go. You'll.
Should should bring a gun.
No, no. Bring your stomach.
Uh,
You are in
he
for a treat.
he smiles at that, and um, so it would be very late at night. But if Gav was, I don't know if Gav has talked to everybody yet about Upman, or if he was going to talk to Upman before everything happened.
He, I think throughout the course of that day, he would have gotten in touch with Honorine and gotten filled in. Um, if it's late, he's going to Upman himself.
Yeah, it is past midnight. Um, but uh, when is Gav just like going in through a window, and or is he like knocking? And
He's knocking on the back door. Um, the one because you said that there was that little mark next
yeah,
to the
yeah.
door frame.
And actually, as he's moving up to the back door, he sees Upman outside in the backyard. He's kind of he is sitting on a bench there. And you can see that like near him there's like an empty saucer. And there's a sleeping cat on like the other side of the bench that Upman is sort of like respecting
Mm-hmm.
him, but he's like studying the cat. Does that make sense? And he just seems to be like lost in his thoughts at the moment. But it's very late for him to be up, so it's clear that he's having some trouble sleeping.
Yeah. Gav, um, he makes sure that when he comes out of the shadows or whatever, that Upman can clearly see him. Like he's not making any attempt to be sneaky or um he's actually he's taken off the Cernith hand using that trigger word that he learned from Geralt.
It's a
And
trigger like combination of fingers and stuff like
yeah,
that. It's a
yeah, like
particular,
he does the thing because he watched me
yeah.
do it. And he's like, Herr Upman, I am on sorry, I am unarmed. I wish to talk.
Yeah, and Upman, he looks a little surprised, but he he kind of he moves over and he picks up the cat who's just like the what you know when cats are like just melting and unhelpful, like I don't want to move, but
I have no spine.
but so he picks it up enough that he can like slide it into his lap and
Mhm.
the cat immediately goes back to sleep.
So yeah, Gav sort of like, you know,
And he
sits
gestures
back
to the
here.
bench
Yeah.
like
He sits down and is like, I've heard my friends have already talked to you, though.
I went to them. Yes.
Something weighs on your mind.
I Many things. He says, I went, he says, as a matter of trust. He says, and I felt my trust had been broken.
Because of what my friends can do.
That is part of it. Sorcery is a complex topic. He says,
Da.
for me, it is inextricably interlaced with power and those who have it.
And a lack of reluctance to use it leads to ruin. Da.
He says, I know many tales of those who have been undone by sorcery in one form or another. A man can learn to use a sword, he can learn to manage a business, but there are some things that he can never learn to do. And that means that there is some power that will always be beyond them. There will always be inequality in this world because of sorcery.
You believe in God, da.
Some days. Some days I believe in Theus very much. He says, other days I have questions, and I've been told that is a normal byproduct of faith.
I believe in this city, Herr Upman. And I believe in the people who have survived this war and are trying to make it better than what it was. But we are against something that no preacher talks about. We are against something that is older than this city, is older than that bridge, and wishes to undo everything we love.
He looks at the bridge thoughtfully. Um,
The woman you spoke to today, the woman who was also dead in that marketplace,
says
she's
Karina.
part of this, and she is trying to distract us from what they are doing. I believe your cause has been. Gav does not know the word. Taken over from inside.
I I have seen Karina firsthand, says since the explosion.
And I trust the word of Captain Ulrich when he said he watched her die.
Um, he says, I've seen a body that cannot be anything but hers. I stitched the coat she wore. I knew her measurements. It says, I am on my way to go and try to resolve that mystery.
You are not doing it alone.
Uh, I cannot have you go with me. Not right
And
now, not in the way things are.
we cannot afford to lose you, Herr Upman. You are a good man, And I believe that you believe that what you are doing is also a good thing. But if you were to go and this is a trap, and it is a trap, then it would be all for nothing.
I believe
And
that I know something that Margot does not. And I believe that I might be able to persuade her in the face of things to change her course. And I must try.
I wish to speak to Margot as well.
I will make that request known to her. I have a request of you, a small
Da.
favor. He says, I do not have family remaining. Uh, Mine was lost in the Vendel overthrow of the Vessin.
I am sorry to hear that.
That's. He just kind of smiles. He says, my request is simple. I have set aside some money to provide for the hungry felines and canines in the city. If you would just see that it is used to that effect.
Of course. But today is not the day you will die, Herr Upman.
He
You
says,
can
if I
eat
go
these.
with you to where I am to go, and there will be no conversation. There will not be a chance of it.
I do not like this.
Hey, I can assure you, Mr. Gav, that I am not by nature a brave man, just a very stubborn one. And he rises. Uh, Says, I do not like it either. But it is the best chance.
Then I will pray to Thea that you return to me safely and we can speak more of this. Da?
He nods.
He gives the cat a little pet.
Yeah.
And he
Um,
pats Upman on the back.
um, yeah, and he sets the cat down like reluctantly, and you see him like take up his walking cane and begin making his way out of the area.
I do not disagree with what you are doing, but I do wish there was a better way.
He kind of smiles and he says, within my organization, there are many approaches. It is folly to think that bloodshed will change anything alone. It must come with changes in mind, in philosophy, in belief. I am one of those who has been dedicated to that viewpoint. But that does not mean I do not understand the need for bloodshed.
We just survived a war, Herr Upman. This city is still reeling. We do not need another one, da?
I think the question is whether we survived a war or we are just at a pause between phases of one.
Give Margot my regards. Tell her I miss her puppets, and I wish to speak.
If I should see you again, remind me to fit you for a coat.
It would be an honor.
Um, and he turns and walks away. And that's where I'm going to drop the curtain. Uh, and of course, I don't have my thing open. So
Excuse me, who told you to open your tabs before we actually started?
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I did open tabs. I just did not open all of them.
Hello,
Okay.
everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm.
Our producer is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Sindra. Before we get started, I want to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seventh Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So, without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Gav.
That's me. Hi, my I was gonna say real name, but that's not true either. I am Bison_Stonefist. I'm a regular contributor on this channel, which is a fancy way of saying I don't have a life. I'm here. Blah, 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 blah. I need some water. I am here 4 times a week. On Tuesdays, I run our Cyberpunk Red campaign, Carnage Heights. On Thursdays, I play Garrett Sakes, the former emo, now punk university student in our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. Yeah, I had serious cottonmouth and like so bad. And on Saturdays, I play Captain Calvin Scooter Hobbs on the Starforged game Starsworn. And Glory is teasing me with some water, so I'm going to make her go next.
That was a very abrupt ending. It was very
I had to make it quick. I had to make it quick while you were still drinking.
Wait, while I was taking a sip. Hello everybody. I am Gloriosa, also known as Blaze of Gloriosa, sometimes Glory. Tonight I am playing Honorine, our resident noblewoman. They're all in for a day. They're all in for an interesting day. On other days of the week, I'm here tomorrow. I'm actually in front of the camera again tomorrow for our one shot in the world of Discworld, the world of Disc. It's our Ankh Morpork. I don't know how much Kevin has actually said about it already, like the setting and whatnot. So all I can say is that it's a one shot. It involves a Discworld setting, and it's like me and a whole bunch of other Chaos Goblins. So I would join it if I were you. It's gonna be fun. So I'm gonna be actually in front of the camera for that for once, and then I'm here producing on Thursdays. And possibly another day, but I don't know how much has been said about that. So I'm going to keep that one under wraps. But speaking of Thursdays, I'm going to pick Sarah to go next.
Yeah. I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming. Where'd I put my notes? There they are. Hey, y'all. My name is Sarah. I go by Sant on the Discord. I am here. I'm gonna be here a lot, y'all.
All the nights.
I'm here a lot. I'm here 3. It's gonna be 4 soon. I'm here technically on Monday in the Monday game, the one shot. I am here on the Tuesday, the Cyberpunk game.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, I'm here? I was gone?
No, I mean on Tuesdays there was a whole drama.
Oh yeah, that was a whole fun drama over there. You want to go see that? Tune in on Tuesday to see Magic Broken Heart of the Team, Silverlock, like literally Broken Heart of the Team. I am the DM for the City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. I am here tonight as Rosa Nix, our Strega, who's truly just a villain. And I'm working with the Square Adventurer on stuff and things for when it comes out.
I beg your pardon. She's truly what?
Huh?
A fill-in? Did you just call Rosa a fill-in?
Villain, yes.
Oh,
You'll
villain.
See.
I thought you said fill-in, like she's just filling in a spot for a minute.
Oh my
and I
God.
was like, ma'am, we are going to have words. But that's
Joke's
okay.
on you,
Sorry.
I'm not killing another one of your characters.
My bad.
Cinder has proven to me that every Strega is one bad choice away from being a Sith Lord. So
they are. No, they are. It is built into us. I'm just saying. And I am going to throw it over to Runa because she said she's not going to kill another one of my characters.
I'm not. That's just something I'm not gonna do. Hi, I'm Ruth. I am. Oh, you found me. What was that face you
Rosa
put
was
in?
filling in for Bad Kyle there.
I'm just so I love that you took back your bit. Take back the bit.
I'm reclaiming it every chance I can get. I appreciate you guys for being with me on this journey. I will also be here tomorrow in that one shot, one of the Chaos Goblins. So please watch it. It's gonna be so much fun, I think. I'm also here on Tuesdays as Exit, Thursdays as Nora, and Sundays today as Runa. Otherwise, I don't have a lot going on. I can sometimes be found in the Discord, but otherwise, I'm pretty much allergic to social media. And I'm gonna pass it over to the last but not least, Hans.
I was about to unmute the mic and then I realized I don't have to. Hello, my name is Rory. I'm playing lovely. Oh, I'll stick with slightly possessed maybe for now. Soldier Boy.
You.
Wrecked tonight. This wonderful Sunday evening with these wonderful people. Aside from this fun little funky game that we play, you can find me. Well, you can find me no other nights for the moment, but you can find me on SoundCloud, where there still hasn't been any new music, unfortunately. There will be very soon. I promise there will be new stuff on there in the near future. And you can also likely find me here on Twitch starting very soon. I'm finally actually getting that almost finished and ready to go. But just keep an eye out for announcements and potentially tune in if you want to hang out for a fun little improvised DJ radio show.
You're gonna post the go live in our Discord, right? So we'll all be able to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For
Perfect.
sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, join the Discord. Do it. And with that, I believe it is time to hand the reins back to our wonderful storyteller.
All right. Well, so I normally would introduce myself, but I am back to just having Shadow of the Wachtturm. Anchors Away has run his course. Up the Creek is over. We had a good resolution. I got to add it to the list of completed campaigns that I've been in, that I think is like now up to like 3. So, all right. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, a debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight properly girded with a letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. So we're actually beginning at the bear house with everybody kind of gathering there. Wilma Proust had indicated that like when everything was ready to be moved and people needed to go to the Iron Princess, she was going to send a letter that would be empty to the bear house, and that would be the signal. That way, nothing can be intercepted beyond, a potentially empty message. There's going to be some time like beforehand. I think a lot of people have gotten very little sleep the night before, since they're up past midnight. It's early hours of the morning that everything is expected to move, as that gives the best combination of people moving in the city, the ability to like utilize disguises, and then the sewers as necessary. So, Gab, what is since he's the last arriving, since he was talking to Upman prior to coming to the bear house, and what is he updating everybody?
When Gav comes in, he kind of looks to everyone. He's like, Felix has told me that they're hiding the barrels in the sewers and have been doing so for some time, but they're waterproofed. So they're hiding it in the muck. With no guard.
Disgusting.
It is clever plan. No one bothers. Only people who use the sewer muck, are the are the sewer monsters, and they don't like the taste of gunpowder. Trust me, I've tried. He grins at a memory.
He's clever,
Anywho.
really. It's disgusting, but clever plan. Ooh.
And I am looking to contact Frau Margot, and I will let you know what I find.
So can we set the scene a little bit since Gav is the last to arrive?
Yeah, so the Bearhausen is
I wasn't
still
finished.
kind of. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna ask everybody like what they had done, like what order did people come back in, and like what are they doing? Like what's Runa doing? Is she there? Is Rosa still like fired up? Is Hans there? Like who do we have?
So I think just to address, Len is there, Arthur is there. It's the first time you guys have seen Arthur in like several days. He's been nonstop by Logan's side. And we'll assume for the benefit of that he's not here, Len is kind of catching up on some sleep from having flown around and done all kinds of
Scouting.
things. Yeah.
Just up in the rafters as an owl still, too tired to shift back.
Oh, he's
It's
got
a
his
very-
head tucked under his wing.
Yeah,
it's
it's
it's a cute idea, but if he stays in that form, like come sunrise, he can get stuck in it forever. So we'll just assume he's back
right,
in
yeah,
human
right.
They have an
form.
Animorph. They have the Animorph.
Rather than
Forgot
just
about
putting
that.
that on him for
Time limit.
yeah.
He comes back to a roll to see if you're still an owl.
It's an important role, by the way. No. And below in the Bearhausen, there's still people being, like kind of in recovery, not yet ready to move. Others that are being claimed by people who didn't survive the treatment. So it's fairly somber. The other thing I should note is that Heinzel is here. Like Rosa had made multiple arrangements for him to be able to kind of see shows constantly and stuff like that. With the absence of a show because of all of like the doctoring and whatnot going on, a couple of the performers have just been kind of sitting with him and singing softly and
oh,
kind of going through some of the favorite operas, and he's been sort of in and out of lucidity. Like sometimes you can have a conversation with him, and other times he's very much the character in the opera that he's singing about,
mhm.
which is sometimes kind of exciting. Like sometimes he's an action hero. You have to like guide him away from.
No, leave the swords, please.
It's okay, I'm a doctor. Only in this place here. Give it a sec.
Yeah, it's interesting because at one point something did kind of snap him out because at one point he did believe he was a doctor and went to go help somebody and he saw blood and viscera and fainted dead away.
Oh, no. Poor guy.
Poor guy.
So bad.
So it apparently penetrated through the persona enough.
Yeah.
So, okay, so is the scene kind of set as far as everybody there? I don't think we know where Hans and Rosa are, or the state that Rosa is in at the moment.
Rosa didn't come back from wherever with Honorine. Okay, then Honorine didn't come back.
She left after Upman and hasn't come back.
No, Rosa came with Honorine to go talk to
Hilgrund.
Halgrund.
That's right. Yeah. So she
So
would
they
have come
walked back
back.
together, right?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say they walked back together or not at all. So
Totally
I need to
blanked.
know.
Totally blinked. Yeah. No, she would have walked back with Honorine, but still fuming. still absolutely fuming over Upman
Okay.
because we
And
didn't.
then is Runa there?
Assume so.
You're like, checks out.
Yeah, makes sense that she'd be there.
Is she nursing at the moment? Is she kind of down amongst the injured?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like she probably definitely would have been the first one there.
Probably never left.
Yeah.
Is this one of those instances of we need to pull Runa away from the patients?
No,
Um,
she listened to Diedrich. She had some rest, and she's back at it.
So I think that Honorine would we said we don't know where Hans is, right?
I think previously on I had left temporarily to go kind of prepare the Dragon's Tooth a little bit. He's probably been kind of like back and forth a bit between the Dragon's Tooth here, a couple other places, like running a lot of admin duty because of the explosion and whatnot.
Okay, so I think that in one of his back and forth bits, Honorine and probably Rosa would have filled him in on like what was going on, like how the meeting with is it Heilgrund or Heelgrund?
Gilbrand.
Heelgrund? That makes sense because he's a fucking heel. But so I think she would have filled him in on how Heelgrund, like, I don't think he was on the up and up, which totally doesn't surprise anybody, but like, you know, he kept the letter. He of course claimed he knew nothing about it, which we already knew. I think he has a deeper relationship with Mushkimina than he was letting on, despite the fact that he had somebody infiltrating, like, just all of that. Like, he gets an info dump.
Okay, yeah, totally.
Like, because
Just kind of taking that all in.
clearly the conversation was fruitful enough, and Honoриne's like peeved enough that she's like, you need to know about this fucker and what he's doing and whatnot. And of course, if Rosa had anything to add, because I know she looked at his arcana and stuff like that. But.
Yeah, Rosa would give the information she has, but she's angry about something else or something, and she's just not talking about it.
That is all very good to know.
There is like a knock at the door. It's very early in the morning. And it's like a heavy knock. Like Veronica and Alejandra don't usually let a lot of people up here without like them being known. Does that make sense? So it's not a terrible surprise to Runa like when the door opens and Jairus is there.
Okay.
He has like a big picnic basket with him.
Is
like,
Jairus Meat Mountain? Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, he's Meat
Okay,
Mountain.
okay.
He has a picnic basket that you could fit a small child in. Like
Andy!
He has not stolen any children. But it's
I
like
hope
full of
not.
like breads and foods, and he kind of like looks to Runa and he's like, I know you had a very long day yesterday and you've been treating people. So I wanted to make sure you had breakfast. You and your friends.
Thank you.
Point.
Yeah.
What?
She has like a running tally of all the points everybody's earned in her favor. Like it's a dating game.
He's a provider, Runa.
I know.
He says I'm still going to be out of the shop all day today, but if you need anything, we know we're ferrying people all around all day.
I'll let you know. Thank you.
I'm glad you're all right too. I didn't say it, but he says I'm glad you're all right too. Since it's the first time he's like really seen her since like the explosion in the area, you know. And he
She's
kind of
just been running around, so like he'd be hard pressed to find her.
Yeah, and like he kind of does take like a look over her like very bloody clothes. He's like, "Do you need me to bring you change of clothes?"
That might actually be wonderful. She
Um,
like kind of looks down and acknowledges all the blood on her clothing.
he just gives a nod at that, and he leans in and he like gives her a hug that like one armed like takes her off her toes, um, and gives her like a squeeze, and he's like, "I'll be back as fast as I can."
I'll be here.
He's like, "I'm not going in your house. I'm just gonna borrow something from my sister."
That's very appreciated. My sister, I mean, that didn't happen. My cousin knows how to use a gun.
He says, "I like her already."
You'll meet her sometime.
Um, but yeah, there's like a full range of like it's a mix of like Western and German or Western and Eisen foods. So there's quite a few like meats and breads.
Rune is trying
Some
not to hog the Vestin food.
there's like a Runa-sized portion of the one particular fish thing that she really likes that he knows. So
Oh,
that
okay,
almost
then
everybody
she's
else
more
like
okay with
smells like
sharing.
yeah, most everybody else like smells pickled herring and they're like, pass.
Oh no, yeah. Mm-mm. Nope.
Um,
So we're
That
all
would've-
enjoying a meal.
Yeah, that also would have been the first time Rosa tried pickle herring because I don't. That is not. I'm pretty sure that's not a
Honoring
thing.
100% would have been like, don't do it. Don't do it. If you love yourself, Rosa, and I love you, don't do it.
Stop being such a baby.
I'm just curious, is Rosa kind of like, what did I put in my mouth? I have regrets, or is she like, it's not bad?
It would have been at first, it would have been the full face of I hate this, and then I actually think I like this. This is
It's
really
like
nice.
the face of I hate this. Wait a second. Let me have another bite.
What's funny is that I actually don't mind pickled herring, but the smell of it is not bueno.
I've never had it.
I've never had it.
If you like pickles and you like fish, it's actually not too bad. Like it's good. It's
Okay.
It's a little bit like smoked fish in sushi. Like if you do
Oh, okay.
the smoked salmon or whatever. Anyway, that
Smoked
aside.
salmon.
I really want sushi.
Now that we're all
Hey,
You're
hungry.
welcome.
So
Anyway, but
Alright.
I think Honorine would have been like, listen, I'm not being a baby. It's not my fault you don't have a palate.
Sorry, I didn't grow up eating royal delicacies.
It's just food. Regular food. Not what that is, but food. Anyway.
almost in
And then she's
denial
like,
of that statement is like a really like puffy, airy croissant that probably took like
She's definitely chewing on a croissant and some cheese. And she's like staring at Runa like, you can spit it out if you need to. I won't tell anyone.
I grew up eating this. I'm fine with what it is.
All right.
Did I say Runa? She's staring at Rosa like, you can spit it out. Like,
Oh.
I won't tell anyone. Sorry.
It's honestly not bad.
You're upset, darling. You're not in your right mind.
Um,
Let me try some of this. I need to know what is causing all this commotion.
And she just like
Is
hands
this-
you the
I
plate.
just need to know if this is worth all the fighting or not.
yeah, I think for any like soldier who's used to like eating field rations, like it's edible. Like there are definitely worse things that he's had.
Unlike Bison, Gav is the least picky eater in the world, so it doesn't bother him at all.
All right. And with just as like the new like clothing arrives from Jairus, his sister has very practical craftsman tasting clothes. So it's pants, it's like a crop top that
Well,
and
I said wolf whistle. I can't whistle, so I just said it.
And uh, he seems delighted that so much of the food has been eaten already, but like just as he's coming by, like Veronica comes up behind him and she's like, "We just had a letter delivered."
Oh, let me
Um,
see it.
and when you open it up, it's blank. It's the signal. It's time to depart and split.
Bruno like fully quick changes.
Yeah. Veronica openly wolf whistles, but like it's a reflexive thing she does anytime like a female performer around her takes clothes off. Like
It's like a tick.
yeah, it's always like a like you go girl kind of whistle. Does that make sense? Like she's not actually flirting with anybody.
Yeah.
She's just like whoop, whoop, you know.
It's just Veronica.
Yeah.
That's just how she is.
Uh
Okay, it's
there
go time.
Yeah. So, everybody is spreading out to the various places. Arthur is moving to Logan. Len is moving to Falk. And let's see, from a sheer distance perspective, the closest is going to be Heinzel. And
What's his persona right now?
um,
Please say Iron Prince.
I
Yes.
wasn't muted.
Yeah, I did a 1d10 roll, and he is 9 out of 10.
What is that?
9 out of 10
Like
in Iron
10,
Prince,
10 is
or-
like gonna be lucid for almost the entire day. 9 is like
That's pretty
he might
solid.
have an adverse reaction to stress, but he's been pretty well bolstered for this occasion. And he like when Honorine comes downstairs to see him, he's in conversation with the servant who kind of lost it and started crying when Rosa was there. Um, you overhear him kind of like giving some instructions, like with the knowledge that he's going to lose his lucidity at some point, and there are things that he wants taken care of, and he's just kind of like doing his best to get it out. And when he sees Honorine, he kind of he turns and he bows. He says, "I am Koenig Heinzel. I don't believe we've had the pleasure of introduction."
No, Koenig, I don't think so. And Honorine did dress up for this. Like, she got, I don't know, her nice clothes from wherever she keeps them in the playhouse, because I think she keeps her clothes in the playhouse now. So she's dressed up. She actually looks her noblewoman self. And she curtsies to him, deep respect, etc., etc., and introduces herself.
Is she offering her hand? Like,
Sure, yeah.
yeah, he gives like a graceful kiss to it. There's no creepery about it. Does that make sense? Like he's just a gentleman to his core, kind of thing. He says,
It's
"I
a pleasure."
understood that there would be disguises." Looks genuinely excited about it.
So my understanding is that we were going to send out like decoys at the time, as well as moving the Iron Princes around, right?
Yes.
So now I guess I have to come up with a disguise for him, because I think it was just cloaks.
He says, "Perhaps you could be a dapper older gentleman, and I will be the beautiful maiden accompanying you."
That would be quite a disguise.
And he just gives a laugh at that, and then he pauses and he says, "If you would please tell Miss Rosenix that the last few days has been a genuine gift, and I am truly grateful for it. I have made
absolutely will.
some arrangements so that patronage for the next few years of this bear house will be arranged from my estate."
Thank you very much.
I don't know what Sans is yelling at the screen. I I see her raging at it.
Would you like to speak to her before she goes off on whatever task she has today?
I would love to have her second opinion on my costume.
And she'll like kind of whistle like up toward the area where they kind of hang out and like call Rosa. Rosa, come down a second.
And she does.
And he smiles at her. She can just see with the look that he's lucid at the moment. You know, she doesn't have to look at his arcana. She can just look at his face.
Yeah.
And he steps forward and he like takes both of her hands. He says, I asked your, he kind of looks between Honorine and Rosa for a second. He's like, sister? It just off of like the similarity in features. He doesn't, he says, I wanted to say that the last week has been a treasure. I am delighted by what you are presenting here, and it has meant the world to me.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, Signore. That means the role to me.
I understand this is quite full, but I would like to give you an embrace.
Sure. All right.
And he just like, it's probably like the most fatherly hug she's ever gotten. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like with the differences in height and everything like that, he just kind of like squeezes her and like rubs her shoulder.
Over his shoulder, like Honorine is making this face. Like she's just
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, that's so sweet.
And now I'm crying again.
And is Rosa actually crying?
Rosa, she's absolutely gonna start crying. And as soon as the embrace stops, she has her emotions back under control.
And he just kind of like pauses. He puts a hand on her cheek to like where there's like a tear running down it. There's just a deep sadness that crosses his face. And he's like, I would do anything to spare you and my people the pain of that.
Konik.
Let's find a suitably discreet costume. Which, like, he tries on, like, 3 pink cloaks and a purple one. We're finally kind of gravitating to some of, like, the better to blend in colors. There's, like, a little kind of, he gets to leave a little bit later than everybody else because they're all arriving, but he's leaving before anybody else will be.
Yeah.
So, but, at the point where he kind of, like, has things together, Rosa has to leave. He just like squeezes her shoulder and he says, I hope you and your sister come to visit the opera house in Heinzelland at some point.
I would love that, Signore.
You would be my guest of honor.
And yeah, she'll take her leave.
Did they switch to Vidachi? Because she had addressed him in Aizen.
I think he's been using Aizen the entire time, unless Rosa started in Vidachi, in which case he switched over to it. Like he is fluent in a way that he might not even like realize he's switched. Does that make sense?
Well, and Sarah was using the I'm speaking Vidachi accent, so that's why.
I'm either speaking Vidachi or I've dropped the accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's either or.
Okay.
Anyway, so she's going to do her best to be discreet as well, and sort of start along the planned route, kind of like arm in arm with him, maybe talking quietly about something calming, like tell me about your favorite, opera, the first one that you remember, or like just very quietly talking to him on the way.
He before they go, he does kind of like pull a rapier down, and he kind of tests the point. He's like, I don't remember if I know how to use this or not, but like he puts it at his waist, like he's not sure if it's a character that he's possessed that is a skillful swordsman, or he himself knows how to use it, but he's taking it just in case. He understands that there's danger to him. And honestly, he's probably in one of the best mindsets he could be to potentially face it compared to some of the other possibilities.
Yeah, and she's going to be like, as long as you don't have, as long as I don't have to take it away from you if you go to hurt yourself.
He says, I don't believe that I've ever been a danger to myself with them. He says, or to fair maidens.
That's good. Excellent. That's the only concern I have.
And he says, you asked about, I wouldn't say it's my first, he says, but I think the opera that I remember the most. And he starts to talk about it, and there's a disjointedness. I want Honorine to make a wits roll along with, I will actually allow artist in this case, because there is something sort of special to it. And I'll describe the opera like after she's made her roll.
For reasons, it's also raining at the moment in Eisen, or in Freiburg, just FYI.
That feels actually utterly appropriate, so.
Artist. $28.
Okay.
What about keen senses? Can I add another one?
No, not in this case, because this is sort of about mental instability.
That's fair.
He says, my absolute favorite was an opera known as The Three Owls. And he begins to describe it, and it's a tragedy in which three owls pretend doom. And there's a very specific castle in it, and it's kind of like it's very particular. And he describes like he used his resources as an Iron Prince to build that castle out of the opera, like it so affected him. And the conclusion of the opera is like the three owls appearing before the main character, like pretending his death, and him being driven mad by it.
Oh God. He's talking about the character being driven mad?
The character in the opera being driven by it, but there's like a disjointed way that he sort of describes it, and there's like a shudder in his voice whenever he's talking about like the owls and their appearance to that character. And you get a sense of genuine fear even as he's relating it. Does that make sense? You can kind of see like a shudder in his hand, and the degree to which he's been lucid seems to like decline as he reaches the conclusion of it. Does that make sense? He kind of you hear him he's talking about it, he's like, and then at the end of it they simply find him, and he just goes into character voice of like, I have to get through the wall, I have to break it down, I have to find what's on the others, but he's in character voice with a very like manic obsessive sort of momentum to it before he just sort of like shakes himself and says, but yes, it's a very moving piece about the fragility of human existence.
And she's going to kind of like squeeze his hand and use every freaking social skill built in the court of shrews to, as smoothly as possible, transition far away from that topic. Like I don't know. I don't have a wits of four, so like, but like, she's like, okay, this is maybe not, this was a mistake. I have regrets. I'm gonna try to transition this away from like to something a little bit happier, a little bit lighter.
He says, I understand that you are a playwright, and I would love to hear everything about that process. I've always wanted to write one, but never had the nerve for.
You've never had the nerve to write.
Had the nerve for it. Of course. He says, you put something into the public consciousness like that, something which will persist forever. Acting, one can have a terrible performance, but the next night no one remembers. Write a terrible play, and it can haunt you forever.
Well, when you put it like that, that does sound terrifying. Fortunately, I don't have that level of forethought.
So you have crossed over to the area where you're going to be taking a boat from here on out, and you haven't had any trouble as yet. Um, the the boats have been arranged, I assume, by virtue of Runa and Jarrus kind of like picking up a couple people who are just going to be looking like they're doing routine ferrying throughout the city, but that it's Jarrus's like vested employees that are going to note specifically the boats that you should be on. Um, and you see yours is ready, like on the water. He looks destiny. He's got runes carved into him.
We get in the boat.
And you are passing, so you're going upstream of the Der Wachtturm, and then taking another turn to go down the smaller river, which I know the name was on there
Is
somewhere, but I don't.
Roth.
Yeah, but there's like a small one that passes through the southern part of Steinhalt. Um, and it has its own, it's just like a little like
Oh
temporary,
yeah,
like,
that like
Yeah, I
canal
see
type
it.
thing.
But I
yeah,
don't see a name on it.
yeah. I think because it is literally just that long, I think the locals just refer to it as the Steinhalt Canal. Um, and as you pass into that, I would like you to make a wits and strategy roll.
I don't have strategy. Can I use keen senses or something?
No, not in this case, because it's more about recognizing problems before you see them, as opposed to a reaction to something.
Would architectural awareness help me?
Yeah, I will actually give that one to you.
Okay.
Put that deck away, Sarah.
Don't you do it.
I'm joking. How
Motherfucker, that's a 17.
Um,
It could be worse.
It could
So-
be worse.
the intended plan was to take the canal like the entire way there. As you were looking down the long length of the canal, for one thing, it has high walls, very few off points, and like 7 bridges that go over it. Any of those could be a kill zone, which you would have no recourse to get out of. Does that make sense? Like your
Whose
option
idea
would be
was
to
this?
literally to dive off of the bridge.
I
There
wanna
wasn't time to
speak to
like
the
map each
manager.
one of the places in advance, but you can make the choice at this point to get off and go by foot if you would prefer. The canal will be faster
Okay.
because it's downstream effectively, and there's no traffic on it at the moment.
And then what? I feel like I interrupted you. You were describing this canal, or was that
Yeah.
a problem?
The canal is the problem. The bridges overhead represent points that snipers could be on, that they could drop explosives and you would be unable to escape from the river. On the other hand, if you were to go by foot, you wouldn't have that problem, but you could be assaulted or ambushed along the route.
So where do we have like off points on that canal?
So, before entering it, so you see where I've moved Heinzel to right
I
here?
do.
Okay, so this is an area that you can offload a ship onto relatively easily.
Mhm.
You can get up onto the paths on the north or the south side. The north is Steinholt, which is considered the most secure district.
Mhm.
The south is going to be passing through Carrickwall and Feinerhard. Doing so this early means that you're probably going to be one of the last ones arriving because you're going to be going by foot a very long distance.
And where's
On
our
the
meeting point? Remind me. It's in
It
Feinhard.
is, yeah, it is under the N in Feinhard. I'm gonna ping it real quick.
Okay.
So you can see that's a fairly lengthy distance.
Yeah.
You guys left late, but if you walked this entire length, you would probably arrive a little late.
And then is each bridge like an off point or like right
No,
here there's
most of
a
them Most of them you can't access. There are a few places that, like, you'll see down here at like the opening of the finer heart area. There is a docks right here that you could potentially get up onto. There's also another dock. I'm
Can you ping
pinging
where
it.
you're?
Ping
Okay.
there. All right, and a ping there
All right.
are potential offload points.
And like, there's no offload point before then.
Um, at the end of this little area that Heinzel is by, I'm pinging it. This is like a built up like rocks that you can climb up. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You could get up there on the shoals, you could get up on the shoals on the north side, but beyond that, it's built high and cut deep so that the
Okay.
water runs fast.
So, and we're going early in the morning, right?
Everybody is going early in the morning.
Yeah. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go under the first two bridges until we get to like here, and just keep an ear out and keep a listen and see how that goes.
Okay. Um, so I would like a wits and keen senses for you as you're on the way.
Can I add commoner? Because I know like what the normal sound would be early in the morning, like how this normal patter would be.
Yeah, I will let you use commoner as like a searching for irregularities.
What's the target number?
The target number is a 20.
Okay. 30. I should have called raises. I was gonna call raises, and I was
Okay.
like, no, I don't want to risk it. And I should have called raises.
When you get to the first bridge, you are fairly sure that you see somebody who had been like leaning against the bridge move away from it as the boat passes nearby. When you get to the second, it happens again. They can't be coincidental. They're very much dressed as commoners. They're not doing anything to draw attention to themselves. But you're fairly sure that if you wanted to be sure, you would post watches. You know what I'm saying? You'd have a route be confirmed, and so getting off at the point that you do seems probably even better of an option if they're expecting you to go under a third bridge.
Yeah, and she's going to, even though it's on the wrong side of the river, she's going to have him, Koenig, if you don't mind, we're going to change plans just slightly. We're going to get off at the next waypoint, the next little dock, and we're going to actually go back over the bridge we just went under.
Says daring.
Well, in my thoughts are that
Sure.
their watchman is gone. So from that bridge.
Well, no, there's watchmen. Well, their watchman is gone,
No,
but
like,
there are still
their-
watchmen on the bridge.
Right, their person is gone from that bridge to report that they passed under it. So in theory, hopefully they're not watching that bridge anymore, whereas they're probably watching the next one.
So shall we switch cloaks?
Certainly, if you would like. I think mine
Did I
might
just
be a
did
bit
I just
short
kill
for you.
Hans? Oh, okay, he was just leading.
He was just doing something. She's like, I think mine might be a little bit short for you, but we can if you'd like, Koenig.
He says a short cloak, very daring.
You might even show an ankle.
Oh, good heavens. And he, sort of, he has like one of the stiff collars that extends out and he sort of adjusts it as if it were like making him blush. He seems to absolutely enjoy playing along with this banter,
Yeah, she's trying to sort of like pay attention and also banter, which is probably hard. Like, actually, it's harder. I know from experience than it looks.
And he's been asking questions about playwriting and everything like the entire time, and kind of soft pitching like the 4 or 5 different operas he has in mind.
Oh no! Oh, it's one of those. Okay.
His is actually like there's a lot of ideas of like in regards to like using eyes in history as inspiration. So it's not like the
Very
worst things you've ever
inspiring.
heard. Um, all right. So now here is what I'm going to have you do is you're going to make a wits and keen senses and criminal if you have it to evade anybody that could be looking for you on the last of the way there.
Okay.
Chat drama die.
I'm trying to. I was like, I'm looking at my skills, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe like because artists use lateral thinking, like, but
No,
I
this
knew you weren't
is
gonna go for that. I don't have criminal, so I need something else, Siosa.
I understand that, but sometimes I say specific skills because I want to highlight that they're useful.
Wits and keen senses. What's the target number?
It is again a 20.
Okay. 32.
Okay. All right, so you've crossed over to this bridge. At which point is she?
No, we were doubling back. So like
Okay.
we landed. Can you see my pings?
Yeah, you landed there. Yeah, I
We
can see your
landed there,
pings.
and then we went doubled back to this bridge, and then crossed that bridge.
Okay, so you're on the Steinhold side,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All right. All right. And then are you trying to make the rest of your way judiciously, not attracting attention, or are you simply trying to use speed?
What was the last part? Are we trying to what?
Are you trying to use speed?
Use speed.
Like,
Okay. No. So we're gonna. She's gonna try to match the pace of like what she's gonna try to blend more than rush.
okay. Okay. Then I'm gonna have one more criminal roll, and you can tell me where you're gonna cross back over.
Cross back over. What do you mean?
Well,
Oh, right,
because
right,
you
right.
have to
Because we're
get
going to find
you
our
have to get down
right. Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
find her hard. If you'd like to change the meeting location, you can just tell me how you're getting that message to everybody else.
We're going to try to cross back over. Okay, so is the size of the bridge kind of an indication like of how busy it is? Like because there's one like right here that's like kind of tiny, and then there's like some more well-built bridges around it. Like is that an indication of like how many people would be crossing those bridges or what?
Yeah, they are general indications of tightness. The best bridge, as far as construction and wideness and could accommodate the most people, is the
Probably
one
gonna
all
be
the way down.
yeah. I actually want to cross back over the one just before it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me your wits and criminal roll. It's target number 20.
Is that one I can use keen senses on again?
Yeah, because you're basically looking out for people that might be looking for you and being excessively paranoid and crossing through streets and stopping at a market to like pick up a bag so it looks like you're carrying groceries and nice.
36. Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
So
I don't want to risk calling races, but like I'm sad for the races that I have missed on these rolls.
okay. So you are going to arrive at the Draken's Tooth. You have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls. But you have done it without, like, you have been noticed and observed at one point. You have not seen anybody else like following or tailing you since you got off, and you believe that you've made it there in relative safety.
Okay.
So we're gonna
going to like let I assume Hans has somebody like coordinating, or maybe Wilma's already there. Like, I don't know.
The I think Zucker is outside in a guard's uniform,
Okay.
the butler. Um, it's like cleaner than any guard would probably have it under normal circumstances.
Listen, if this man is ever looking for other employment, call me.
But he just simply he's one of the few people that will recognize every face and opens the door and
And she just sort of nods to him as they go inside, and she doesn't want to like blow his cover, but she will go inside and bring Heinzel over to Little Whiskey, and entertain him with the puppy until other people arrive. Because I assume Whiskey.
and I
is
don't
still-
know the order that people are arriving yet, so we're going to pause there because it's going to be about like how many times people sidetracked, went back, what route they took,
Right.
etc.
I'm just saying, like, if there's time, we're playing with Whiskey.
Absolutely. Okay, who would like to go next? Face danger.
Yeah, I can go. Sure.
All right. Who? Okay. Hans had to book it to get to Heelgrund as fast as possible.
Leg day.
I think he probably took more than one boat at certain points, you know what I'm saying? And then just like hopped off and like ran and knew there wasn't like a huge amount of danger until um until he was going to be there with Heelgrund. Does that make sense?
Until he's kind of in proximity.
But yeah, he gets there and you can tell Heelgrund is dressed for the occasion, is in he's kind of like he hasn't committed to full commoner. Does that make sense? He's going for not an Iron Prince.
Okay.
But he also, of all of the Iron Princes, he is probably the most distinctive by virtue of his cane and his walk. And the let's see. He also has 6 members of his guard dressed as well that are clearly going to be traveling with all of y'all.
As you rise, just will give a nod. Good evening. If you are prepared to depart.
He says, I am.
Very well. Do you intend to have these 6 as kind of an entourage that may give off a bit more of a distinctive look than we would ideally hope for?
I understand it is a calculated risk, but I feel it necessary.
Very well. I just ask that you tell them to at least keep a bit of distance to at least somewhat maintain the cover and whatnot. But
do you have a route in mind that we'll be taking? I can send some of them ahead.
Let's see here. That's probably what he was probably planning a route while he was running all the way over here.
I'm pinging Heelgrund just so
Okay.
you know exactly where he's at.
He is on the map.
You guys have a relatively short distance to go.
Yeah. I think just by virtue of kind of keeping out of potentially others' way, just to keep the cover up, it might be best to take the slightly scenic route and go up to, I'm going to go into pinging mode, go up to here,
Okay.
and then kind of cut across through Steinholt and then back down through like maybe this bridge or this bridge, one of those two, I think.
Yeah, he listens to the route. I will let you go ahead and make it. Do you have the noble skill?
Let's see here. I do not have any dots of noble.
I will give you the choice. You can either roll unskilled with just your wits, or you can roll with commander, but at a slightly higher difficulty.
I mean, I'll take commander. That's just kind of the headspace he's in right now.
Okay.
And you said wits
Yes.
for this one? Okay.
I am giving you an unkept extra die because you are, in fact, have been in his command and grew up in Heelbrand.
Okay. So that is going to be an extra unkept die, you said, correct?
Yes.
So that's right. Um Ooh. All right. Let's see. Gives a 24.
Okay.
Which is a little bit lower than I was hoping for, or at least unexpected.
So you don't have certainty in this, but there's a lot of things that you kind of remember about Hilgrund as a commander. First off, I want to address, he does not seem to recognize Hans at all.
Interesting.
Hans had literally been an officer under his command who died in his service, and Posen recognized him, but Hilgrund does not.
That honestly checks out. That checks out.
So you remember every time you'd seen Hilgrund in command, or moving around the armies, he was always mounted, always. And you'd never seen him walk for anything more than relatively short distances. And you remember there were stories of him as a child, like basically being strapped into a horse, and that disability and weakness has plagued him his entire life. And that, like, the concern that crosses his face, you think he is fighting with his own pride about it, but that there is every possibility that he doesn't know if he can walk that much distance. And you kind of realize like the guards are there in case of that possibility. Like it's not just a matter of my protection.
It is again, he pauses, and then, if do not wish to insult you, Koenig, but if the distance is of concern, it is possible we could potentially charter a boat and take the riverways. It may end up taking longer if we are going against oh my goodness if we are going against the current, but it is certainly a possibility that would put you a bit more at ease. Of course, the river it is.
All right. So I'm gonna have you. This is again going to be a thing where like the most useful knack is the criminal knack, because you're trying to like smuggle somebody through a city. There's not a lot of stuff that covers for it. So go ahead and you're going to make a wits and criminal, and a keen senses like as you exit and are making the arrangements and stuff.
Okay, wits, keen senses. I've got 2 criminals. That actually works out decently. Let's see. Boom. 22.
Redo that roll for me once real quick. This is just a second roll, but it's the same skill.
Okay. Second roll, same skill with keen senses this time, or was that a one-time thing?
No, the keen senses will work on this as well.
Okay, cool. 23.
Right in the same ballpark.
Of course.
You do not know like what it is, but there's just like a clench in your stomach. Does that make sense? A sense of unease through all of this. Like the feeling is almost like looking at a forest in the dead of night, and like 90% of you is sure there's an ambush hiding in it. Does that make sense? But like try as you might, as you look at it, you can't see it.
He just like instinctively immediately goes into like nonverbal communications.
Yeah, and the guards that are with him look a little bit surprised, but you see their hands like go to their broadswords and stuff like that. It's like as you're getting to the boat that you're intending to take, which is just like here on like the western side of the Daroth. And one of them kind of like, you see something?
Something is not right. Can I put my finger on it?
It says, what if we just took the bridge? Hustled across.
Could that risk running into different group potentially, but that risk is somewhat minimal. And just quickly to Hilgrund, would that is that distance doable for you, Koenig?
I believe so.
I think the bridge might be the safer option.
He says, two of you take the boat. And he kind of like removes his cloak and he hands it to the third one. It says, and you get in it as well. Leaving him with now 3 guards, and the one guard like takes his cloak, and it leaves Stefan's like scars from the wasting disease a little bit more apparent though. His hood would have hidden it, but it's not now.
Yeah. Let me see here. Is it fair to say that I would have had a cloak at this point too? Like just as
Yeah, you can have.
Yeah. I mean, I can give
you
him.
guys have had time to prepare in a costume room, so
yeah,
like
I can give him my cloak because it's slightly less weird for me to just be kind of walking around with someone early in the morning.
Either way, you're going to be, if they recognize you or they recognize Heelgrund, they're likely.
Yeah. In his mind, it's better off that he gets recognized because there's a slightly greater chance they could just brush it off as, oh, he's just like, getting rid of some drunk guy or something.
Walking an old man home.
Yeah, just kind of something out of the ordinary, but nothing insane. He'll offer him the cloak and just explain, just briefly, just slightly better if I get recognized. It's possible it could get brushed off as just a, an oddity.
This is regardless, we should move quickly.
Indeed.
So you guys turn and start walking across the bridge. Like they're trying to hurry as much as they can, and you can tell Heelgrund trying to maintain a quick walking pace. It's very quickly, he's like deteriorating quickly, but he is trying to put up a brave face on it. It's like it's something that he has the endurance of having endured this like his entire life. You know what I'm saying? So give me one more keen senses.
Okay. The full thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. 31 this time.
Okay. You're crossing the bridge. There are other people coming from the other direction. They're in a gaggle that like doesn't make them suspicious. Does that make sense? Like if they were walking together and like eyeing you and everything, like it would be a lot more of a thing. But like as your hand, as you're watching the person crossing by you, your gaze just kind of goes down to a hand, and you see a signet ring on a woman's hand with an icon of a draken in it. And once again, you're kind of like back in the autopsy room, and you hear like Upman's voice that says like, I don't know why they would take her rings. And that's the sort of like intuition as that person, a woman just sort of smoothly draws a pistol and presses it against Heelgrund's side, and you see like moving to pull the trigger. So I'm going to give you a defense roll to try to like knock the shot out of the way.
Okay.
Put that Black Panzer hand to use.
Yeah, exactly. Like something sus, hands in the bag. As soon as he sees the pistol, whip the Panzer hand out. Defense is which again? I'm sorry.
It's just a defense snack. You're going to use wits with this. Wits is always used for defense rolls.
Oh, okay. So wits and just okay, gotcha. That's the same thing I've been rolling. Let's see, 23.
Um,
That.
okay, let me roll pack roll real quick. Okay. You get your hand like around the wrist right as she pulls the trigger. You see Hilgren like stagger back. The cane goes sprawling. He falls like onto his ass. The and uh, you see she's reacting quickly, trying to like twist her arm out of the grip of the Panzer hand.
Couldn't happen to a
Um,
nicer guy.
Oh, can I bind this defense grab? I like
I
lock that shit in
will.
place.
So we're gonna make panache real quick for
Oh,
your
right.
actions.
Right. Let's see here. Okay, that's a 6 and a 7.
Trying an experiment to see if it works. Okay, so they go on 2,
Ooh.
5, and 8.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
you were going for the block as opposed to the bind. On your next action, you can take a bind.
Okay.
On 2, her action is leaping backwards off the bridge.
Damn.
Pod person.
Do
I've been
his guards
saying.
get any kind of
His guards are functionally like a brute squad that's attached to him. That
Mhm.
gives him bonuses. So they would act when Heelgren acts, but Heelgren is currently down, and they're sort of like boss and
Yeah.
Mr.
I assume they're
President.
just like they've made a circle around him basically.
ugh,
Or a
useless.
triangle, since there's like 3 of them.
So it's his choice. He can chase after her to the water, or he can let her go. She's clearly trying to escape.
Yeah. Oh, God damn it. I'm gonna, yeah, fuck it. He just like, he clenches the fist really hard, flashes all the armor is on now, and he's gonna just order the guards and like, this is just the most, like, probably the most soldier he's ever sounded since his service. He's gonna order them to get him to the meeting point and get him help as quickly as possible. Like, ignore everything else and kill anyone that gets in your way. And he's taken off after.
I should also point out you're on a bridge that borders with Finerhard, so these guards know you as their captain.
Oh, perfect.
Is he sending any of them along, or does he not trust their discretion yet?
Depends. Are they Wachund?
If there happens to be like 1 or 2 that I know to be pretty good dudes, I'll like tell them to send for medical aid to the general area of our hideout. But if it's just like some random guards that I've got, then I'll just tell them to kind of lock the district down.
Every guard currently hired in Finerhard is somebody that Hans has interviewed and hired personally.
Oh, okay, yeah. In that case, I'll get, if there's, is there 2 on the bridge?
There's 3 guards on the bridge that belong to Heelgrund, and there are 4 on the bridge that are 2 are yours because they're the ones on your side of the bridge. The other 2 are the guards from the playground.
Okay. I'm gonna, yeah, I'm ordering one of them off to go get medical aid and send it to our like guardhouse, effectively, like to our new guardhouse, and other one I'm just telling him to lock down this bridge. Like, this ingress and egress is closed.
I'm going to take that as your 6th action since this is a series of seconds. So the soonest that you can dive in is on the 7 action if you're going straight after her into the water.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
I'm
ahead
going.
and make another wits and keen senses as you get into the water.
Okay. Full with criminal, I just always like to double check.
And
Just wits and keen senses for this
just
one.
wits and keen senses for this one.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a drama die on this, actually. Just double check my drama die. Okay. 30.
Okay. So two things. You catch sight of her moving with a speed that no human can swim at. Okay.
Yep. God damn it.
You see that there is you were with the group that went to go see like about the Selkie cloak, right? Like Arthur was there talking to Upman about it at the same time.
I
Oh,
think all of
yes.
us were there.
I
think I was there, yeah, because he was talking about, yeah, because Upland was talking about like very delicate materials and like his storage and stuff.
Yeah. So I think you saw like it looks extremely similar. You don't think it was the same thing, but you see it like over her shoulders, and you see just a moment like so you have jumped off here, right? And in the course of two actions, like she's here.
Oh, geez.
And like the way she's swimming looks like an otter in the water. And like for a moment, you see her turn and look like over her shoulder under the water. And you realize that it is not the face of like the woman who shot him. The face is already shifted to something else. And you see just a split second of a moment of that woman that you've seen up in the dragon nest like multiple
Yeah.
times.
Son of a bitch. Do I stand do I even stand a chance of keeping up with her is the thing?
No,
Like just
but you did get to see who did it, which is like
Okay.
a big thing. Like there's enough that you can kind of like get out and be like, yep, I don't skip leg day and I cannot swim that fast.
Yeah.
And and as you like kind of come up and out, like reeling with like what the fuck is she doing here? Like I want to sort of like connect some dots real quick. She was wearing the body that was killed at the autopsy. That was who she was disguised as.
Mhm.
The person that was, by what Honorine had gathered, in his employ.
Plant, right.
That was specifically set up in all of that explosion, all of that death was the cover for the assassination of that person.
I mean, this is even deeper shit than we thought. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, there's no way he can keep up. He's just gonna climb out and get back to getting Gilgren to safety and
Yeah,
so whip up a report for everyone.
So I assume moving like by virtue of like you're no longer going for subtlety or stealth, it's just speed and we have guards.
Yeah, this is we're moving like enforcers now. This is official business, nothing to see here.
Okay.
Get out of the way type shit.
There is going to be no secret as to like where Heelgrund is. Does that make sense? Like when he goes in, if they're planning an attack like on the Draken's Tooth and stuff like that, like they're going to know that he's there.
That's true.
And
I mean, is there a chance we can stealth it still after all this?
There's too much commotion. Do you know what I mean? There's guards that are running. You know what I'm saying?
There's been a gunshot, yeah.
It isn't until you're almost all the way there that you realize that Heelgrund isn't bleeding.
Like
you saw him take a pistol at like point blank range.
Yeah.
And when you kind of like push aside part of the vest, you see him grimace, and he's wearing the Imperial breastplate.
Oh. Yep. Oh, skid me there for a moment, Koenig.
Says I was advised that there would be danger.
It's not expecting
And
this.
he kind of coughs, and like you see he coughs up blood. And when you kind of like lift up the breastplate, you do see it's incredibly purple like down his
No.
side.
Yeah.
He took a bullet at
So,
point blank range and it didn't break the Dracheneisen, but it's still like getting punched
oh yeah.
really, really hard. Um, all right. So all told, I believe that you are arriving before honoring. Um,
Okay.
all right. So we're going to cut from there to kind of have an idea of when everybody's arriving. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay. Oh shoot, we're at an hour 50 already. So let me ask now before we get much further. How are we for time? Can people go late? I know some people are tired and do. Okay, cool. Um, all right. Um, so this one is going to be a little bit different. Gav, I want you to make one like wits and criminal roll throughout.
Okay. Okay, that is. I wasn't here last week, so I didn't have enough time to up my criminal. That's okay. I need 5K3. Two ones, really? I gotta stop using that die. 18.
Um, so oh, let me ask you this. Are you using the kids as like forward scouts?
Um, it is something I didn't mention, but it's something I thought of while we were doing other people's stuff. I think yeah, he would.
Okay.
Like specifically the Red Hands in Finer Herd and the kids in the Spielplatz because that's the areas he's got to worry about.
Um, And so I'm gonna have one more roll. Like you're kind of seeing a couple of kids along the street and stuff like that. Like you've gotten all the way to the point where you can like make a reasonable choice between using a bridge or using a boat or whatnot to cross over.
Okay, so another wits and criminal.
Mhm.
Okay, let's pick different dice. You're usually good to me. Try this again. That was an 8. I saw that. And that was a 10. That is a 27.
So it's as you're kind of like getting to the bridge and whatnot, like you think you have somebody that like looks almost directly at Gav and the woman,
Mhm.
and Griselda. And like, there's no sign of recognition that crosses his face. Like he recognizes Gav, but then he's like, and there's like a certain, you see, suspicion cross his face, but then when he sees the person that Gav is with, it's like looks away. Does that make sense? And Gav realizes like the Burleskier aren't coming for her. She's not a target.
I suppose Herr von Vischer is having a run of good luck.
Griselda looks a
He
little
doesn't
like
say that
nervous.
particularly loudly. He just sort of
She says, I'm not certain what you mean.
You are not the target, Fraulein.
She
And
says, I will just
Herr
be
von
standing
Vischer
close to those
is
who are soon enough.
but they are not after you. And they are not after me. So, would you
She
like
says,
me
but
to
others are in danger, yes?
da? Um, But that is not for us to be worried about at this moment.
She says, if it seems to me I would be just as safe traveling on my own than as in your company. And perhaps another could use your help.
He motions to one of the kids he knows is watching. Keep an eye on this lady, da? And you tell the others to keep an eye on her too.
So is he parting?
He does, but before he does, he hands her a sheathed dagger. He's like, just in case.
And she just kind of like smiles and she like draws her hair back and then like parts her cleavage just a little that you can see there's a pommel there. But like she has like a bustier that's like pushing everything together enough that like you couldn't even tell it was there beforehand. So she says, "You are a gentleman."
Puts the knife away. It's like, it seems I worry too much sometimes.
And she just kind of like smiles and like gives a small wave with like the child. And so Gav is I'm going to give you the option to basically like spend a drama die and join Rosa or Runa's adventures at any point. Does that make sense? Like you're basically gonna get to like Batman if you want to, because you are following somebody who doesn't actually need protection. You made the choice to like leave them.
Yeah.
You don't have to declare it now.
Okay, yeah.
Like I'm allowing for dramatic purposes. You can just kind of like drop in. You'll have to spend a drama die to do it, but
yeah,
you
that's fair.
can potentially do it.
All right. Batman. Gav will slink off into the darkness.
Okay. So we have the longest trip with Posen, or we have probably one of the shortest trips with Seeger. Who do we want to do next?
I'll go. Do you want to go, or do you not care? Or are we gonna do rock, paper, scissors?
Do you want to do rock, paper, scissors?
I don't mind going.
Okay, you go because you're longer.
Okay.
I heard that as you're blonder, and I was like, wait, what? And then I realized what you actually said, and I was like, beg pardon?
By the time Bruna arrives, Posen has some like 20 men-at-arms that are assembled and are all dressed as commoners. Does that make sense? And is like she has like a map of like the streets and stuff like that, and is like pointing out ambush zones. Does that make sense? And like, I want you on the roofs here. I want you on the roofs here. I don't know if anything's going to happen, but I need you ready in case something pops off. And just like, instead of having guards accompany her, she's sending them out in advance along a route so that she will never be without reinforcement of some kind.
Oh yeah. She's so cool.
And she turns as Runa comes in. And looks her up and down and gives a smile and says, "You were prettier than the last one."
Thank you kindly.
She says, "I hope I didn't do something to offend the captain."
I don't believe you did. Not that I've heard anyway.
She says, "You're to be my escort then?"
Correct.
Yeah, and she starts like pulling her hair back and stuff like that, and she half strips down in front of you. Like there's no self-consciousness, whatnot. She hands off like her own family Draconizing breastplate to like another one of her guards and puts his masculine one on. Does that make sense? And you realize as you're watching, she is like literally transforming into looking like a man. Does that make sense? She
Yeah.
has the shoulders for it. She has like the arms, you know what I'm saying? It does not take much. Um, and she kind of gives a little playful smile and she says, "Is there a chance I could talk you into a dress?"
I you can.
Um, and she kind of gives like a nod over to where there's like five or six that are available. Does that make sense? And you realize like they're probably sized for posing, like they were, possibilities that she might fit into. Um, and so most of them they don't have like a strongly feminine aesthetic to them. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? But uh, they're all, worthy of an Iron Prince or the escort of an Iron Prince.
Right. She's just gonna pick one and change into it.
Is she, by the way, is she like kind of turning away and trying to preserve her modesty?
No,
Jesus,
no,
Destin, she has modesty.
she's
What?
yeah.
Um, and you see Posen's eyes are very much tracing all over your scars, your wounds.
Oh, she has a lot of scars. Oh dear.
Um,
Like other than
Posen
just her wounds.
has a lot too.
Yeah.
Like there's kind of a moment like where
But I assume
like
most of hers she got on her own.
um yeah. Well, I mean somebody gave them to her, but
Well, yeah.
uh and there's kind of like a moment where she like hasn't finished changing. She's just, like got the breastplate in one hand and she reaches out and she puts her fingertips over like one of the scars from like one of the runes. Um and you realize like by eye alone she's picked out the oldest one. Which I think is like the Vilskop rune for Runa. Wasn't that one of the first ones she picked up?
Yeah.
Because it was her mama's lightning rune.
Yeah.
It was like what she was known for. Um, and but she does seem to identify that it's the oldest of all of them. Um, and she says, "You've been doing that a long time."
I have. I was quite young.
She says, "So was I." And she kind of she covers one breast and kind of like moves it so you can see where there's like a scar that runs under the curve of it. And it looks pretty nasty. Like it looks like maybe a spear went in. She says, "I got this when I was 12." She says, "My first battle, when I learned that a horse and Drakenisen and my nobility was not going to protect me."
Mm. That. Whoa. Brain went blank.
It's
Can it stop doing that?
Is Runa like tongue-tied? Kind of like
She like. How did that happen?
oh, she says one of my father's retainers betrayed him and turned on us in battle. He cut my father down. I was speared through and nearly took out my heart. I fell off my horse. I was left for dead, but I wasn't. Took me a full 6 months to breathe properly in that lung.
That makes sense. And she's like kind of also looking at it from like a, oh yeah, damn, like that must have been awful to heal.
Uh, she kind of smiles and lifts the breastplate and she says, "We should go."
Indeed.
I could compare battle scores all day.
I'd have fun doing so, but there's matters at hand.
Yeah, and she kind of like puts the broadsword on her side. You can see she's like leaving behind a spear and like a Zweihander. But absolute confidence in the way she walks. There's no hesitation or doubt in the woman in any way. We get another Rory sliding back in. And she says, "So who do you think is behind it?"
There have been a lot of theories. We're certain of one woman. Sorry. She explains, like, she tells her all the information that they currently know, which is a fair amount.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a drama die for your trusting. Because she's genuinely like, giving information to so I want to have some clarifications on is she telling them anything about like the supernatural forces at play that they know about, or just about the Relaskier and the assassination attempts? And
She doesn't. I think she would tell her less about the supernatural stuff and less prodded for it.
um she start moving the posing a little bit. The you relay all that over the course of like a few blocks. You're walking through like the stone of the Philosopher's Stone area, and there's a lot that kind of comes to mind about like the experiences that have gone on in the city recently with like Redmond and Rosencruz and everything. And as she is listening to everything that you have to say about like the Relaskier, and she does kind of like pause. Do you mention Upman's name particularly, or that you have sort of like an inside source on the Relaskier?
It doesn't mention name.
Okay. Are you leaving it as though you have like a spy inside of the Relaskier, or just like one of them is like sympathetic or possibly sympathetic?
One of them may possibly be sympathetic.
She
And
says,
like explains it as like we're working with what we have right now.
she says, I understand that. She says, I would say have a care, because oftentimes those who are posing as your friends, they're using it to find out what you know.
I
Um,
believe
She said not
they've
at all
spoken
ominously.
more to us than we have to him.
as you're arriving at one of the bridges that you can see, like up on one of the rooftops are like two of her men with crossbows and whatnot on the far side, and you can see that like the bridge itself has people, crossing it. One person that is on the far side that looks to just kind of be observing everything. Um, that you realize is also like part of her entourage. Does that make sense? Like you saw them a bit ago. Um, And as you cross over that bridge, there's like a tension of like this is like a useful place to try to like launch an attack to do damage. Um, the she just kind of gestures, and like the one that was like watching the bridge like walks over and leans in, and he says, after we took up posts, we saw some people moving off. And she says, was there anyone available to follow after? And he shakes his head. He says, we thought it more prudent to remain here and keep the bridge safe than to try to give chase. She nods in understanding.
Okay.
Um, the uh, the trip from there is down and then to the bone bridge itself, moving up and over it and going to be crossing through the carrot wardle. She at no point was interested in getting on a boat. And she maintains like a fast walking clip. She looks very like masculine at the moment and is very much walking as though escorting you somewhere, but doing like at a quick pace.
Mhm.
And
And she's kind of like playing into her role, I guess, while also like keeping an eye out. It
I'm
really
just
sucks
curious,
that we're
is
not on a
she
boat because I have the sailor skill.
did she mention that? Like, you know,
No, she's just like, she's not trying to look like she's the one escorting her.
that's fair. Um, and
So it's not like odd.
the as you get it up to the top of the Brome Bridge, I would like a wits and keen senses from you. I'm also going to be doing one from her.
Can I use sailor, craftsman, or healer?
No,
I
not on
figured.
this.
It's just sometimes I feel like it doesn't hurt to ask sometimes.
No, it does not. Especially because I'm not often telling you like what I'm having you roll for.
17, it could have been worse.
Okay.
Because I don't have keen senses, so that's a 2. Brilliant.
You see, like as you're getting to the top of it, Posen puts a hand on your arm and kind of like keeps you from moving any further forward. And her eyes are like sweeping over the bridge, and you don't see what it is that she sees. And she says, "Two of my guards should be here."
They're not.
Now, the only thing along this bridge is that there is a very trashy inn that's called the Bone Bridge Inn that is like the necessary place to go and have like the tourist trap experience of Freiburg. Everything's overpriced, but it's like, you know, it's an inn that's on the Bone Bridge itself. And you're realizing that like there's no traffic across one of the largest bridges. There's no guards. What is missing is an absence, not a presence.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, as you're kind of getting like taking a few steps closer, you can see that there's no movement coming from the inn itself, and you can see blood on the staircase leading up and into it.
Hmm. Not today, no. Not today.
Posen says, "Everything on my route follows from this point. If we double back, we'll lose time and we'll be late."
Then we continue.
Uh, Gav does have a good point that you could use a rune to potentially look inside of the inn.
Well, that wasn't what I was suggesting.
I will.
It would mean doing sorcery in front of her, though.
I was thinking a different god, actually.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, what are your views on sorcery?
She kind of laughs at that, and she says, "I fought a war on behalf of the Vatican and its views on sorcery." Uh, and her eyes kind of like narrow thoughtfully. And she says, "At the end of the day, a weapon is a weapon is a weapon."
All right. Then I can scout without scouting.
Oh.
And she's gonna check inside the inn.
Um, the Go ahead and make your roll, target number 15.
Sorry, just a moment. I think I just need to double check how many points I have in Gateway. Okay. $54.
Holy shit.
Look at
Okay.
that.
It's an 8, keep 5.
So I would like to point out that like while Vilscap might have been your mother's rune, I don't think that it's your character's like primary one.
No,
She's very good at doing that. So
I also
Um,
haven't used Fury in a while. Haven't really been in combat much to use it.
the view inside of the inn, the place has been emptied. The two guards are dead on the ground. They've been pulled within it. The entire inn looks like it's been stuffed with barrels. If each of those is filled with black powder, this is a taking no fucking chances we're trying to kill Posen. Does that make sense? Like you won't have a reference for it now as to kind of like how hard they came after everybody else, but they are coming after Posen the hardest. And this was meant as like a no string, like fail-safe proof. All she has to do is cross the bridge and she's going to die. This much like explosives would kill nearly anybody. And you can see that there is one person inside that has like a lit candle in one hand, and their hand is shaking because they are bleeding to death at the moment. They won the fight with the guards, but barely. And they're dying of their wounds, and you realize that like that candle is falling one way or the other. It's just a matter of how long.
We need to get out of here and quick.
Um,
Oh, sorry. Your guards are in there dead. There are a bunch of barrels of gunpowder or of black powder, and someone in there to drop a candle. They are bleeding out, so the candle will fall whatever we do. We just need to get far away from here.
So I would like to note that like it doesn't look like there were any other like fatalities involved besides the guards. Does that make sense? There's no other bodies. These places, the taverns, and a lot of them were closed by order of Prost at the last game,
Right.
because they were targets.
I didn't say that there were any other body. Did I say that there were
No,
bodies?
I felt the need to add it because
Okay.
like I want the Relaskiers methods to be very like specific and particular in what they're doing. And Posen kind of she closes her eyes, and you see she like mouths a brief prayer. You don't necessarily know what it's for, but she already has Runa's arm and is like leading her quickly back down the bridge. You are at the bottom of it when you feel the entire bridge shake, and you can watch the entire tavern just boom. You know what I'm saying? And it's causing like chaos kind of throughout everything else. She says, another route then.
Yes. Where are we currently?
You are, well, so you're actually like back here because that's the offload point for the bridge. Everything else is
Right.
like much higher. The explosion happened up here.
Right. Okay.
Or actually sort of like up here, I think is where no, I'm sorry, the tavern was 25.
Okay.
Bridge totally unscathed.
Great.
There are several small docks around here in which you could buy or steal possibly a boat.
By boat then.
Posen nods.
And she's gonna pay.
Yeah, the Posen is happy to like hand over the money to cover it you know, at
Yeah,
the moment
she'll
of.
hand her the money to hand.
And she steps into the boat. You guys are quickly like underway with like a borrowed like small watercraft. Um, oh, yeah, okay. Honoring was saying I think the tavern is 525 says the Bone Bridge. So yeah, that sounds right. So it was like there's some shit raining down on some of the buildings around there, but yeah, the Drachenwing is the name of the former tavern. Okay, so you guys are getting to a port to a onto a ship about here. Um, you can go directly across and go through the Steinhold. You can go down the channel that Honoring saw. Um, what is the preferred method of getting there?
Um, sorry, what were the two options again?
Well, so when you take the boat, you can simply just cross right over. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Or you could like head down the channel and take the river, or you could head down the channel, take the sewers, and go like underground.
Could probably take Der Wachtturm down to Der Roth too.
Yeah, that is a longer way around at this point. What she's saying is that you could sail all the way down the river to here.
Mm. Mm. We can use this pathway. It's not pinging for me.
Did you right click? Oh, I see a ping.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're
I
thinking of
figured
taking the
it
channel?
out.
Okay. So you're planning to go down the channel?
Mhm.
Okay. So, um, what I'm gonna need from you, are you planning to go the whole way by the channel through like via speed, or are you planning to go long enough to get off and then go by foot?
Um, it depends on what I see up ahead, but probably moving on foot for some.
Okay. Um, as you're getting to the first bridge, I want a wits and keen senses from you.
Can I
As
Can I roll sailor?
Yes. Well, so actually, what the sailor is going to be for is if there is an attack, you're going to be making a finesse and sailor roll to get the boat out of the way. Does that make sense? To like
Okay.
steer in such a way that you can use the currents to kind of shift quickly and
So am I rolling this also a sailor or no?
you're not rolling the wits and keen senses, but you as you're like getting ready, you see Posen taking out a crossbow, knocking it, like winding it by hand.
Okay. My finesse and wits are the same, so.
Okay.
Ooh, not 24. 13.
Okay. Yeah, you're a little bit absorbed in like, did she just hand cock a crossbow? Like that usually requires a winch and um and you like Posen just very calmly like down and like pushes you down and lifts it and you see her like drop somebody on the bridge and they just tumble into the water. And she says, "Hey, speed. We must make haste."
I could have used a drama die. I don't know why I didn't.
It's all right. Go ahead and I want 3 finesse and sailor rolls out of you as you're like watching Posen like re-knock her crossbow, reload it, ready to go. Oof.
Bruh.
It's just a 42. Can I use my drama? Can I use a drama die on any of those?
Your finesse is only a 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not retroactively. So what's going to happen is at the 6, which is so the 15 was this bridge here. At the 6, this bridge, So like the first one, you saw somebody kind of like come up with like a rifle up and over the bridge. And the second one, you see them like move and like push a barrel, and they take a crossbow bolt full in the throat, and you see the barrel as it like falls off the side and into the water. There's like a moment of like, oh, did the wick go out? And then like the water pushes up and like the boat completely flips over with the both of you like in it. Part of it shatters. You go down into the water. She goes down into the water. There's like a moment of like ears ringing and stuff like that, but the boat actually absorbed most of the blast. And the uh you have sight of her under the water, like kicking her way towards the surface.
She's gonna grab her because Runa's like gonna reach down for her as like she's swimming up because she's in armor.
Yeah. And what you hadn't, so you've never swum in like a full dress before.
Mhm.
And as you're like kicking and fighting to the surface, you see at the same time Posen like pulls a knife and is just cutting it off of you, like full cutting through the corset, like cutting down to um like the undergarments that would be beneath it, but that like are easier to swim in. And by the time you get up, like both of you are like pulling up and over the side, like just scaling up the stone to get onto the side, near the bridge. Uh, um, and she says, I think the secret is out. And she moves to one of the nearby buildings and she just grabs a horse by the reins. She doesn't bother with a saddle on it. She just like pushes herself up onto it, and reaches down to grab Runa.
She'll like take her hand and get on there.
Yeah, and she tests the string of the crossbow, which is like wet, and she makes a face. She just tosses the thing over into the water, and puts an arm around Runa's waist, and fully gallops the thing down a crowded street. You know, just her voice like bellowing, like with everybody move. And most people at the sound of a galloping horse, and you know that they're just like diving out of the way. You see that there's like one who looks like they're kind of like raising a weapon, and Posen full kicks them in the face as you're going by. Just this is a woman who's like lived in battle her entire life, and other than that, she's probably a lot more ruthless. Like there are definite strong reminders of your own mother,
Mhm.
like that of like the moment things really happened, like she was just all action,
Yeah.
no second guessing yourself. Um, your arrival is about as eventful as that of like Hillgrant.
And we're
It's
soaking wet.
Soaking wet. I imagine that the bloomers that Bruno is in are not exactly the most modest thing.
No.
Um,
No,
and
were there bloomers there?
it was whatever she was wearing under the dress. Like,
Okay,
so
because Runa doesn't usually wear dresses, so she wouldn't have her own bloomers.
okay, so
I'm just
She's
thinking
in like
realistically.
the 18th century version of a long t-shirt. Like a long undershirt.
No, she'd be in like
I crossed the Drakensbrett.
undergarments because she
Dragon's
usually
Bridge, and all I
wears
got was
a
the stupid
corset and
t-shirt.
pants.
okay, so she's basically like in a soaking corset that and like as you come off of it, and she seems to like realize just the like immodesty of the state that you're in. She just like pulls her own cloak off and loops it around Runa's shoulders, and Zucker just kind of like, I will see to getting you some appropriate attire.
This is good. This is her. They're gonna be her third outfit change of the day. Third outfit change.
She's just like on her way to being an actual noblewoman.
Honoring approves. Honoring stamp of approval.
Like
I do want to say they got there
almost
after
naked
honoring,
right now.
and honoring is like watching an almost naked Runa come in, dripping wet, with Posen behind her.
They all get to make this huge entrance, and she's just sitting there playing with the puppy.
Like, did anybody else get the note about how we were supposed to get here discreetly?
Yeah. Nobody else got that memo, huh?
Sometimes shit doesn't work out like that. And sometimes you're Almost
sometimes you're
naked.
half naked
With Honorine's seal
with
of
the
approval on
muscle
her
mommy.
I love a strong woman.
I'm not jealous. Just in
Posen
case you
is
were
roof
wondering.
bait. I've realized.
She's what? Ruth bait?
Yeah. I love
Ruth
strong
bait?
women.
She's general bait. She's general thirst
Yeah.
bait. She's a thirst trap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she pulls her hair out of like how she pulled it to kind of disguise her gender, and she like releases the breastplate for the first time with like a bit of a grunt. And then reaches across to the bar where like whiskey had been like, kind of nosing into a drink and just picks up the glass and like downs it. And um um and we're gonna cut to Rosa, who's on the way to like the inn where Seeger was going to be met with, when she hears a whisper, like a psst, psst.
Is this before or after the giant explosion?
The this is before, because Rose is arriving beforehand. And Eric is a very tall man. He's not like Gav huge size, but he is, like a lifelong military man from good genes. And he kind of like looks back over his shoulder towards Ettore, who's there, who's dressed in the manner of one of Seeger's guards. And he looks to Ettore, he's like, "You did not undersell how pretty she was." And Ettore kind of gives like an apologetic smile, but he nods to Rosa.
She walks over, like very confused, but at the same time, okay. I've seen this person.
He says, "My honor guard is going to be departing in the next 20 minutes. I'm taking public routes." And he's got like a large cloak on and like, his face concealed. His stature and bearing are probably a little bit harder to disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers a very large, very calloused hand.
Like to Rosa doesn't know what exactly to do with this person, especially now that Ettore is there.
And Ettore just like the look he gives is like he's not like divulging anything in the moment. You don't think it has anything to do with her. It has more to do with Seeger. He's not saying anything in front of Seeger. Does that make sense? I don't know if Honorine had related that Ettore talked to her on the way to speaking to Seeger.
Yes, as soon as she knows Rosa is going to take Seeger, she would have let Rosa know.
Yeah, so I don't know if you recall because it was a few episodes ago, but like basically, he for some time, like there's some sort of relationship between Mondavi and Seeger, and so Ettore has been known to Seeger for some time.
Okay.
You don't think that it's like a complex double cross going on here, or at least if it is, it's not one of Rosa. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and she would have relayed, like, Ettore says that he's foxy.
The most accomplished liar he's ever met.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yep. All right. She does not trust this man. She does not like him. Oh boy.
Is that Ettore she doesn't like, or Seeger she doesn't
Seeger.
like? Says, "I understand you're going to take me to see my son."
Si, signore.
He gives a big smile at that. Says, "It's been a very long time."
Yep, Rosa will do it. She'll offer her arm to make it look like she's escorting him.
Um, and he takes it and like acts properly. Um, he uh he says, "You're going to have to forgive me. I am very hungover." He says, your friend who came out to talk to me, she's a better drinker than she knows, or very good at pretending to be."
And that was honoring, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I am not surprised by that, signore.
He says, "What's your poison?
Excusi?
What do you like to drink?"
Oh, vino, signore.
He says, "You'll have to introduce me to some of the good types. Mostly they just taste like nearly water to me."
Have you been to Vadachi?
Uh, yes.
That is where the good vino is.
I He kind of like looks back to Ettore. He says, "Why didn't you take me to the good vino?" And Ettore is like, "Because there isn't good vino in Mandavi lands. There's good wheat in Mandavi lands." And he's like, "So why didn't you take me to the good beer?" And he's like, "Because we don't make good beer." Um, and Eric kind of laughs at that, and Ettore is like, "You are not being very discreet." It's like, "You're a very loud man." And he's like, "Right. Does that mean we should go underneath?"
Uh,
I have
He's
never been
asking to
known
go
for my.
down already.
um, so we're the one who gets to go into the sewers. Yay. Um, yeah, Rosa, I guess will have to go into the sewers because he's drunk.
He says it's no, he's sober. He just doesn't have a volume control. I mean, he does smell like whiskey, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but um, he kind of like, "Look, I don't mind cutting our way there the whole way." He says, "But I understood we were trying to do this discreetly." And like at that moment, there's like a gunshot from the bridge. Kind of like, I think it's going great.
Hopefully it gets better.
And like kind of start taking steps towards like the sewer area, and you hear like an explosion from across the city.
Si, signore, he will be going under.
He's like, "If you're sure."
Yeah, at the explosion, it's immediate. Yeah, we're going. Oh god.
And you guys like find your way into a sewer entrance. Ettore kind of like, "So the thing I understand to watch for sewer monsters is there's rippling in the water."
From
Um,
from my experience, si, signore.
and there's just this sort of like look of delight that crosses like Seeker's face. He's like, "I thought those were a myth."
No, signore, they are very real.
Um, and he pulls his like Drakenisen blade out, um, and like puts his Panzer hand on, and it has an ease with the way that he walks, heading through the sewers, and he kind of like he tilts his head. He says, "I hear footsteps down here."
Everything I have. Okay. What do I need to roll?
Wits and keen senses. I will give you criminal.
24.
Um, okay. He's dead on. They're there are people down here, quite a lot of people. And he kind of like looks to Atori and he says, "Do that thing you do." And Atori kind of like, and you see he like he moves very silently. Like you've seen Atori skulk a few times, and that's exactly what he's doing. He moves ahead of everybody. He's like practically one with the shadows. Um, and Seeger's just kind of like remaining close. It's a very kind of protective stance that he has with like Rosa nearby. Um, and uh the Itori kind of comes back out of the shadows, um, and he says, "They're moving explosives under the Draken's Tooth."
We need to get everybody out of there.
Um, he says, "We certainly can't meet there," um, and the
I have a very strange question.
yeah,
Can Otto get there before we can?
yeah, actually, he could.
She's taking Otto down and sending him with a message of leave now.
Okay,
Is he a
who is
talking
he?
spider?
Who is Otto going to be biting?
Glory saw my face. It's no, Gav's not there.
What's that?
Shit.
It's Honorine. She was the first to arrive.
Does it need? How bad?
Bruna has a lot of free real estate right now, and that might be very spooky to her.
How likely is Honorine to kill Otto?
She's not gonna kill Otto. She's just
You're just
She's
going to
gonna
traumatize your
squeal.
sister a little.
just a
She's
little.
definitely going to squeal a bit. You might
Maybe
hear it
that's
in
what we need.
sewers.
You'll
I'm so
probably-
sorry, Glory. It's Honorine.
Okay,
Otto's
listen.
fucking
I need to make this clear. I am not arachnophobic. I like spiders. Honorine does not. So I'm okay.
I know, but for your character, I'm
Oh.
so sorry.
It's fine. This is fine. You'll be able to hear the squeal and know that they got the message.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and you're kind of like getting Otto and doing like oh my God, what, so first off, tell me the message you're whispering. I think you have a word limit, right?
Think I do too. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
So I'm going to go with 20 words, and Otto is reserving the last 3 for "Don't Smash Me."
Basically, don't shoot the messenger. Got it. Okay. Location compromised. Evacuate immediately. I'm sorry. Please listen to my spider.
So that leaves him with 2 words.
No.
And
I left a lot of words for him.
oh, okay.
She only did 11.
Okay. So, say it again one more time. We're not counting this time. Or Runa can count.
Location compromised. Leave immediately.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Listen to my spider, please.
Okay, so you have a full like 6 more words.
Well, she doesn't need the 6 more.
There
Okay.
should be
Is
9
she-
more.
Is she
Well,
telling?
3 for the spider.
Oh,
is
yeah.
Is she saying where to like? Is there a meeting point that she wants to convey?
I think the backup was always the Bearhausen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go back the way we came.
Yeah, and Rosa sort of like very quietly like whispers to the spider, and like sets it down. And things sort of spring into action. You see like a knife comes at a Tori's side and he sort of grabs the arm as it comes out. And you see like a shout goes up in the sewers of like they're down here, and she hears like bullets. One of them whizzes by her head. Another she sees like Seeger kind of grab her and turn her, and she hears the bullet like bounce off of his panzer hand.
I
And
think this would be the point where Gav grabs one of those people from behind and shows them what a belly to back suplex looks like.
sure.
Hell
Um,
yeah!
So
Batman!
Back alley
there,
Batman!
so I'm really sorry because I know Rosa has not had much screen time. You had the moment earlier with Heinzel, but what I want to do, I'm going to close the episode here. We're going to flash back to Honorine and kind of close it out because there's a battle with like there are like a dozen Relaskier members down in the sewers. And they're armed to the teeth and they're ready to like go in and mop up the surviving Iron Princes after an explosion would have rocked the building. Does that make sense? So at this point, what's going to happen is like they're going to be fighting to escape, uh, to withdraw. And we're going to cut over to Otto, a few minutes later. Um,
A few minutes later.
is so like as timing wise, like Runa is kind of like just arriving. Hans is with Hilgrund, who has like, a kerchief at his mouth, is like still kind of coughing up blood. Griselda has like arrived looking a little like um almost like uncertain she should even be here. She knows she's not an Iron Prince. She knows she's speaking on behalf of Von Wish, but like, like just as this is happening, Arthur is arriving with Logan. Um, Logan himself looks like he's lost 15 pounds in 3 days. Um, and um, Folk Fischler is arriving with a cat tucked into like one pocket, and a like sun-blind owl like clinging to his shoulder. Um, and that's, Runa's like getting changed into some new clothes. Uh, Posen is like bantering with Honorine and Bruna, and like a little spider crawls up Honorine's ankle and in nips her on the ankle. And for a moment, she sees Rosa through like an eight-eyed faceted viewpoint. Does that make sense? Like there's just like several Rosas, and Rosa is like leaning down and doing like the Star Wars thing of like talking to R2 of like whispering the message. Does that make sense? Um, and then there's like a chittering at the end of it, which Honorine just understands as please don't smash. And then like the spider like drops to the ground and looks like kind of warily ready to like dodge feet, pans, glass.
So I didn't follow whether we're closing the episode and picking up with that next time or
So that fight, I'm not doing this episode. We don't have time. There's like 13 minutes till we're half an hour over, right?
Okay.
So
Just that's okay. So she's kind of like bantering. She's like glad they survived the explosion. Like, by the way, whose was the explosion? Like, she's kind of like trying to catch up with people, kind of giving Fischler a little wave. And then there's creepy crawlies on her ankle, and she looks down, and there's a giant spider there, and she squeals. Like,
Runa, for the sake of Otto, knowing that that is Otto because she's seen him before, kind of just like reaches her hand down to pick him up.
No, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Get him away. She's definitely like
She's just gonna let him crawl onto her.
yeah, Otto skitters right up her arm and straight down the corset.
Yeah, no, she's definitely
No! Like, out loud, she just goes, no.
So there's the nip, there's the little and then Honoring like kind of claps her hands over her mouth, and like takes a couple deep breaths, and she's like, "We have to go. We have to go now. We have to leave."
All right.
Runa's
So
kind of just looking down her corset and going, "Get out."
so here's what I want from Honorine. I want a full wits, appearance, reputation, whatever you want to throw into it, just like an immediate convince of like that this outpaces anything in importance. We need to get out of here now. So just give me that roll quick, and it'll be kind of the sense of urgency of everybody in leaving the place.
Okay. So you said wits, appearance?
You can add your appearance, the two unkept, or do you have one or two from it? Did you buy it up to the stunning yet?
No, it's not stunning, it's above average.
Okay.
So one. So all right. So we've got wits. We've got appearance. Noble.
Yeah, I will allow it on this one because they are all noble. I mean, even Falk is pretending. So
Noble by association.
And
Yeah.
then, how do I add reputation?
how many of your reputation dice do you want to add?
I'm gonna add all of them.
All right. And what's your current reputation?
That's what I'm looking for right now. Please hold.
It doesn't have a spot on the character sheet, so
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where she put it.
Plus
Or will-
15. So it's, what is that, 3 dice? I mean,
No,
minus 50
that's
with...
one. That's one.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
it's every full 10, right?
Yeah, it's every full 10. And the minus 50 with nobles is just those that are particularly up in like the Philosopher's Stone area.
Yeah.
It's not like
I
a
was
noble
like,
who wanders
these
into
people
free
are...
work.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and then I'm keeping wits, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am also actually going to use a drama die on it.
Then you get 2 bonus dice because this is a charm attempt.
Okay.
And you're a size to size, so.
So that's 2 extra kept dice?
Mm-hmm. 2K2 extra.
$45.
Okay.
10 keeps 6 and I only got a 45. Come on!
All right, so there is enough urgency with it that people are like getting up. Those who seem like, Posen is one of the first ones like towards the door. Sword in hand, just, like if there's trouble, she moves. Hans is probably gonna have to help Heelgrund out.
Did he? Is it a dramatic wound? Like, can Runa help him out, or?
He took 2.
That's with the breastplate.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, it's kind of her signature move. So
I don't know how he feels about sorcery though, and she doesn't like this guy.
Let him bleed.
Okay,
and in the meantime, Honorine is
out of
like...
the empathy she has in her heart, she's just gonna like tap him on the shoulder in passing as she goes to follow Posen. Because she still has her blade on her. And take that wound if she can. Just like
Okay.
in passing.
Okay. All right.
Like mate just randomly feels better now.
Okay. So they are hurrying, and we're gonna kind of like flash back to like Rosa and Seeger in the like as like the fight is continuing, Gav is like elsewhere in the sewers, kind of like, this is one of his hunting grounds. He's been down here a lot.
I almost feel bad for these guys, but then again,
they are dangerous and they're well armed, and his ability to suplex one and like take them out it doesn't mean that he's out of danger in any way.
Oh, I know. I'm just that one guy. He's really wishing he picked a better line of work.
Um, and Seeger, you can see Ettore is kind of like fighting as well. He's surrounded like 4-1. These people are not like just roots to be cut down. Like many of them are very trained, very dangerous, very dedicated. And Seeger himself, like he's spending a good portion of his own skill and effort in like protecting Rosa during this time, like an arm kind of at her waist, like moving her out of danger. And like as the fight continues, we're still in like the sort of opening round, but she does hear like a rifle shot and she sees Seeger, like he lurches with it. And as he like turns back, she can see like the entire back is like bleeding red. Like that bullet hit home and went deep. Um, and you see him like kind of crack his neck and he's like, it's gonna take more than one to take me down. And in response, she hears like a feminine voice like kind of echoing through the sewers. And she says that says wish granted. And that's where we'll drop the curtain for the night.
Yeah.
Someone grab the dog.
I am sure that like somebody has whiskey under their arm.
The dragon's tooth blows up. Whiskey just sort of comes out of the door like nothing happened.
No, it's fully like Zucker, like at the last moment, like
Yeah.
Or like a cute version of the slow walk away from the explosion. Like you just have these big floppy
Completely
ears in
oblivious.
like slow motion. Yeah.
No, for canon purposes, he is getting stuffed into a fanny pack and rushed out.
A Rottweiler puppy in a fanny pack? What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's a potato pack.
They're
potatoes.
How old are they? Sorry, let me not do this. He's in a fanny pack.
It's a large one. He was planning extra, reserves to be brought to the dragon's tooth.
Okay,
So,
good. I'm like, Rottweiler puppies aren't that small.
No, they don't stay small for very long.
No.
yeah, maybe not into the fanny pack. Maybe just sort of like tucked in inside of a vest.
Yeah.
Just whatever is going to hold him with minimal squirms for a few minutes. So,
I'm gonna
But I
nominate
wanted to-
Gav
for the opening,
for his scene with Felix. I thought that was great.
do we have a second nomination?
Honoring for getting bit by a spider.
Oh no.
I just remembered that he's currently in Runa's corset. Runa's not afraid of spiders, Ruth is.
oh God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just like, ooh, the feeling. No.
All right. I want to thank everybody that's watching in chat. Fox, thank you for commentary throughout. It's always appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe, leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm. And thank you for participating in whatever way that you're participating. It's great to have engagement with the series. It's been incredible feedback from people, and we love having you here. We will see you again next Sunday, and with any luck, we're going to have a poppin' crew full of people ready to get into a fight. So
Let's start a riot.
And in the world that we're in, sometimes of late, it's particularly hard to like be kind to people. If you find yourself without the spoons to do that, please be nice to each other. That is all for tonight, and be here tomorrow for the one shot. That's going to be a great time. Kevin has an amazing sense of humor, and Terry Pratchett is one of his favorite authors, so I have no doubt it's going to be a delight. So I will be there tuning in, and I hope you all will be too. So thank you all, and good night.
Good night.
Night
Bye.
show.